Hello. This video will teach you all about the basics of flowing. As a lesson preview, this lesson will cover 1. How to flow, and 2. How to format your flows. So before we get into it, you may be wondering what flowing is. Flowing is just another debate term for taking notes in a round, in which you organize your piece of paper and write notes in a way that is very easy for you to read off of during a speech. So flowing is basically note-taking. For the process of flowing, you use 2 separate sheets of paper if you need a lot of room, but usually you just use 1 piece of paper. You designate one for the aft side and the other for the next side. And also, when you're taking notes, I personally use a black pen for the affirmative arguments and a red pen for the negative arguments. So this is one of my flows from my past debate rounds, and the one on the left is the affirmative side, and the one on the right is the negative side. And when I say one's for the aft side and one's for the next side, what I'm saying is that in the beginning of the round, before the arguments are made, the affirmative will give their 1AC or their first speech, and they will lay out all of their arguments and all of their reasons why the resolution or the topic is a good idea. But since I was negative in this round, I would take notes on what the affirmative is saying. Also, I would be also taking notes on what I'm going to say against the affirmative arguments. For example, against their humanitarianism argument, I would say that Musk and Bezos are not actually going to exploit people and exploit workers. That would be one of my arguments that I'm going to make against their first contention, which is humanitarianism. So essentially like this, you want to not only take notes when your opponent is speaking, but also take your own notes on what you're going to say in your speech. The same thing is true for the negative. So after the 1AC gives their speech, it will be my turn for the 1NC. But the reason why the 1NC is 7 minutes as opposed to the 1AC 6 minutes is because the 1NC has to answer the affirmative arguments, because this is the second speech. So not only do I have to lay out my own arguments on why, for example, mining is obviously good for humankind, I would also have to answer their arguments. So usually you would have one contention on your negative case, and you would have a lot of answers to the affirmative case. And as the debate goes on, you should notice how all of these arguments are slowly narrowing down like a sideways pyramid. Because the goal of the debate is not to answer every single argument until the very end. The reason why speech times get shorter as you get to the end of the debate is because you want to formulate and collapse down to a few important arguments, not all of them. So this is one of the reasons why I chose this flow to demonstrate. Because this flow shows us that all of these arguments are slowly narrowing down to eventually just 1 or 2 arguments on both flows. And so this shows you that as you go on in a debate round, you want to just choose some of the most important arguments, write them down, and answer your opponent's most important arguments by all taking notes using these 2 different color pens. That is it for this video, and I hope you learned a lot about the art of flowing.